Hi, everyone, and a huge warm welcome to today's live chat in this year's SAP Innovation Awards series, and with a particular focus today on digital supply chain evolution. So, a warm welcome to our first guest, that's Steve Bergfeld, VP of Information Technology and Services at Blue Diamond Growers. Welcome, Steve.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
Oh, fantastic. Great to see you. And equally a huge warm welcome to Sven Dekeneken, SVP and Chief Marketing and Solutions Officer for SAP Industries and CX. Welcome, Sven.
Sally, thanks for having me.
Oh, an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much. Steve, if I may start with you, could you tell us a little bit more about all things Blue Diamond Growers? I was really interested to learn more in some of the prep for this and also as a judge of one of the awards as well. But really the scale of what you're doing, I think it's kind of 3,000 growers worldwide. You're representing 75 plus countries. Tell us more about that, kind of what your ultimate goals, kind of what sets you apart too. I'd love to hear more.
Mhm. Yeah, like you mentioned, Blue Diamond is the largest almond processor and marketer in the world. So, a co-op of over 3,000 growers, 1,800 employees, shipping to over 75 countries, like you said. Our main product lines are our branded snack nuts, our almond breeze almond milk, and our nut thins. And then we have another line of business that's the global ingredients that provides our almonds to other CPG manufacturers. So from our perspective, our mission is really to maximize the return to our growers. They trust us with their almonds. It's up to us to go deliver them accordingly. So a lot of focus on quality, integrity, and innovation. And that innovation also applies to the technology we use to enable that. So a lot of opportunities, a lot of challenges, but again, we're in it for the growers and our customers.
Love that, absolutely. And the power of the ecosystem, I think, is so important around this too. And how would you say, in terms of your corporate business objectives, how they're aligning with these evolving needs of your growers and customers too? What's been the biggest change there?
Yeah, it's really just again maximizing that return, like I said. So from our perspective, it's we receive the almonds from our growers, so trying to get a better forecast accuracy from what almonds, what varieties are going to be coming in, and then where is that demand across the world? So better balance across. So really that focus, the supply chain is a critical component for our company. So really um, a lot of challenges there and a lot of focus on that side of things. Right.
Absolutely brilliant. Thank you so much. And Sven, I'd love to bring you in at this point as well. And reflecting on some of the points that Steve has made there. From your take, how are you seeing it? Obviously, this imperative to embrace digital transformation, supply chain being right up there in that prioritization. But when you get particularly to industry specific processes, what are you seeing there in terms of that imperative? And what are the key contexts and challenges you're seeing too?
Yeah. So first of all, and then that's what I loved how Stephen is solving it is
Lovely.
he really captured the digital transformation as a journey because it is a journey. It's not an end destination. There are things changing, and we're going to talk a little bit about the disruption because I happen to believe supply chain change from demand driven to constraint driven. And that only can be solved very quickly in a network effect. And what I mean by that, and that I see in this and in many other industries, but for sure Stephen and the company have really taken forward, is using that digital notion and to enhance it quickly. So there are unique industry capabilities that he needs, but the way how he turned upside down from demand-driven normal business to that constraint-driven, that is a digital transformation itself. And I don't think that journey ever ends, but the way how he responded, that was amazing.
Absolutely. Never once and done, is it? I couldn't agree more. So important to bring that to the fore. And also the challenges that have driven forward and catalyzed this digitalization as well. I'd love to bring in Steve here to sort of really drill into the factors that drove you towards this digitalization of supply chain. And I think what you said there, Sven, about constraints really brought that to the fore because such an evolution, not just beyond some of the traditional things that you might be experiencing, particularly in your area, Steve, whether that's weather constraints or something like wildfire or drought or something like that. But the fluctuations you experience, particularly with COVID and the implications beyond around supply and demand, changing expectations, fragility of supply chains, you could go on and on. But I'd love to drill into what you were experiencing there and bring that to life for the audience.
Yeah, no, valid point. So again, our initial focus when we started with integrated business planning was better improvement on our our demand side. So we have the two lines of business, and previously they were disjointed processes. And in our case, we really had to balance what goes to our other CPG companies, from an ingredient standpoint, versus what we use for our branded products. So given we have a limited supply of almonds, or it's a preset based on what the growers give us. So improving that demand side. But then, as Sven definitely mentioned, with COVID and other factors going on in the world, that supply side was really constrained. So things that, where it would take us 3 weeks to get cargo, it was taking up to 5 months, as an example. Our teams had to go to multiple sites to really get that visibility and planning from a logistics standpoint. So it was really getting improvement on that supply part, which so demand coming in, better manufacturing to align to that, and then getting the logistics so we can deliver those to the products. Big measurement on time in full to our customers. So a lot of challenges there to really meet that demand, increasing demand, fluctuating demand, and then really how do we align that better to the supply side of things.
Absolutely. I think you really bring to the fore all those different vectors of change coming together, the impact that has, and kind of that chaotic environment of the time, and just the different levels of complexity, I think, coming to the fore there as well. So really, really interesting. And obviously key drivers of the project and the partnership with SAP. And I'd love to drill into the key objectives you were trying to achieve there. I think we've set the scene up really well, but perhaps we could go into some specific examples. For example, how were you addressing like manual processes or siloed organization, things around disjointed network as well? I'd love to drill into some of the specifics and how this project was really addressing those head on.
Yeah, like I mentioned, we have two key metrics for our customers. One is, on time in full, and that goes back to forecast accuracy from our side of things as well. So given that we had disparate systems, we were really looking to bring that together, and with the solution, we were able to do that. So really getting improved demand and supply planning across our business lines. Before, the logistics team had to go to 10 plus websites multiple times a day to really understand, can we acquire the containers? Can we understand the visibility? And then even when customers made inquiries, it could take us a couple of days to really get a response back to them as to where their product was, again, just because of the manual processes going there. Things like promotion planning and scenario planning that could take up to 6 hours a day just to kind of do that because of this disjointed processes. And then, like I mentioned, the lead time between going from 3 months to 3 weeks to 5 months. Inventory levels, we really needed a better focus on that, and our distribution channel. So plenty of challenges, things that we were trying to achieve to pull that all under that umbrella to really get back to OTIF improvements, on time in full, and forecast accuracy, just really giving us that resiliency and flexibility. So these were all key goals of this initiative.
Oh, absolutely. I think resiliency, flexibility, visibility right up there. And obviously implication there on kind of the friction-free experience for customers, etc. too, but also employees there as well. So I love that kind of move from disparate to integrated, but equally from kind of being more retrospective to be more proactive, having that active intelligence to make the right decisions. So I love where this is going. But obviously there's challenges here too. And I was just reading the other day, just some new CIO research that came out from Gartner, and it was looking at some of the sort of intention action gaps around leadership expectations around digital initiatives. And it was kind of saying there was a gap between expectation and delivery, and kind of length to complete or time to realize that all important value we've been speaking about today. So getting this right is so key, and addressing the challenges of transformation, massive point around this. So Sven, I'd love to hear from you, with all the different industry verticals you work with, what are the common themes you're hearing from customers around the challenges? And obviously then we can work with how we're supporting that. I think maybe visibility could be a great one to start. It's come up a lot today.
Definitely. So the topic of visibility across business network, across companies, especially for the supply chain, is really the biggest one that I currently see. And it started, by the way, with a chip in the canal who teached us that we need to work and be flexible on those constraints. Now, in agriculture, as in many other industries, we see that companies are focused on that relationship with their clients and the clients of their clients. and creating that intimacy, like Steve put it very nice, like you're in time and you're in full, because if you break that promise, you don't do that twice. And that's a big part of solving that, is have that agility in the supply chain. It's also being that business network awareness. And companies have endless supply chains, right? And they change it all the time. But here we have a business who actually, I think, what was jeopardized by something that we couldn't foresee, and that quick reaction. So this is what I see in other companies as well, where they learn very fast. So being that business network awareness, the systems also being business network aware, having that end-to-end visibility across, your suppliers, the distribution channel, that's super crucial. But at the end, it comes down, and then that is, I think, what we saw here with Blue Diamond Growers and what Stephen, that you make the promise and you keep that promise and do that in a sustainable way.
Absolutely. Love the fact you mentioned sustainability at the end there, Sven, as well. So important. Love the work you do at SAP with the Sustainability Tower, for example, too, and particularly supporting about measurement there. I think that's a huge area as well. That again, with some of the changing regulation, can add complexity, but obviously done in the right way with the right support, what massive benefits we can achieve. So love the fact you mentioned that too. So brilliant stuff. Fantastic. And Steve, if we can go back to some of the outcomes here as well to share with the audience too. What has been the kind of the biggest achievements from this transformation? And perhaps we could look at it from different aspects. So how you've addressed that supply and demand challenge, but also benefits from both the customer and also ecosystem point of view too, but also employees, because there's benefits all around here, isn't there?
Yeah, absolutely. And again, from our standpoint, it was that whole SAP ecosystem. So everything from the integrated business planning to the logistics business network and transportation management, even to the business network for our suppliers with the supply chain collaboration, all that with analytics cloud layer on top of it. So we've got good analytics and reporting from that side. So it was the whole transformation that was all key there. And again, everything from the demand and supply planning. So having that one unified plan across from demand supply that then feeds our manufacturing and our logistics teams, to making sure they can do their portions properly. The scenario planning I mentioned that would take 6 hours, we were able to reduce that to 20 minutes just by, again, having this consolidated data. For our logistics team, having that centralized location for securing freight and getting the visibility. It enabled our customer service reps having access into those systems so they could respond immediately to the customer on where things stood. And we could do course correction accordingly if there were issues from that standpoint. Again, eliminated the need for all those website searches that were going on. So making our team a lot more productive from that side of things. The other part of it was just that bottom line of improving the on time in full. So we were hitting industry metrics up in the upper 90%. Our inventory levels, we were able to reduce those by having product in the right place at the right time. Changing our distribution channels accordingly to enable that. So even with that, it improved our freight costs because we weren't having to ship product from one distribution to another. So even a sustainability metric from that standpoint of less traffic on the road from that movement standpoint. So all those aspects, cost savings, inventory levels, forecast accuracy improvements, and then again, the biggest factor being as well OTIF from that standpoint.
Oh, absolutely. And also the people benefits there as well, kind of freeing up time for kind of higher order work, taking away some of that burden and overload, for example, too. So love that. So many multiple benefits there. And I was going to ask you a little bit more about the partnership with SAP, and you kind of gave a number one possibly answer there with that power and strength of ecosystem. But I wonder if we could just mention a couple of other things that really led Blue Diamond Growers to kind of cement that relationship.
Yeah, again, what we enabled, we went to ECC in 2014, S4 in 2021, and along this journey, was adding in IBP and analytics cloud and the business network for our suppliers, the business network for logistics, all those pieces. So having an integrated common data format from that standpoint, it enabled us to do more real-time analytics across across SAP provides best in class or near best in class solutions. So it really helped tie everything together. Our real vision is to get to that synchronized planning capability. So having the insights on demand, supply, manufacturing, and logistics, so we can, if something is going wrong in the manufacturing side, we can adjust demand and supply accordingly. So that's our vision that we're working towards, and SAP is a great enabler of that.
Absolutely. That key word enablement is ringing throughout this conversation, I think.
Yeah,
Absolutely
exactly.
spot on. Totally agree. And Sven, from the other perspective as well, we were both judges for the Innovation Awards as well. And I'd love from your perspective, just hearing all this impact here, just to bring to the fore, particularly people might be considering, going for the 2024 awards as well. We'll put a link to that at the end too. But what characteristics are you most looking for in a winner? And there is a clear criteria around this too, but I'd love it perhaps from your personal take. How did Blue Diamond's growers' story really kind of align with those characteristics? What would you kind of key highlights from their entry?
Yeah, and let's start with the personal one without being biased. After 7 years in S4, I saw Blue Diamond growers grow with our ERP, pun intended. So I'm very proud about what they pulled off and all the engineering time that I spent there. That is the reason why we did it. That helped. But now from an industry angle, which I'm now in charge of, running all the industry expertise at SAP, I saw that company, Blue Diamond Score, was super innovative on how they use the business network all the way collaborating with their growers, which makes that difference. Now, from an engineering perspective, the ROI metrics were outstanding. We just talked about it, like 95% or above reduction of scenario planning, the savings that we saw. So we really saw the impact. And at the end of the day, and that for me as a judge, definitely put the thumbs up on this one for sure. The story was so timely. This about really addressing this response to all those volatility, risk, and challenges in a very pragmatic and forward-looking way, and planning in that dynamic environment. And I'm pretty sure we don't want those times to go back. But I felt that Blue Diamond Growers, and for sure also Stephen and his job, is best prepared whatever comes.
Love that. And thank you for sharing that, both from that industry perspective and also the personal one as well. I think that's really powerful. Thank you, Sven. Really appreciate it. And kind of rather than looking back at the award, let's look forward now as well to kind of plans for the future, where this foundation has kind of set you up, Steve, for what's next. I'd love to kind of just spend a few minutes on your plans for kind of what's next, and also how technology and the partnership we've been talking about today is going to help enable that journey, basically.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so as I mentioned, I mean, this vision of the synchronized planning capability. So most recently, we've enabled SAC planning capability for FP&A from that. So now we're pulling in some of that financial data associated with the inventory and demand data as well. So that combination. And then we'll start extending further into the manufacturing side with finite scheduling and our plant and SAP plant maintenance. So that's on the near-term roadmap. We're going to enable more from a sustainability standpoint. So really pulling in the control tower, so we've got better metrics, to guide what we're providing to the growers as well. And I think the big piece is leveraging the AI ML, from not only what SAP is and will be providing, but a layer on top of the SAP ecosystem to kind of bring in better metrics from that side of things. So we see plenty of opportunity in the planning side and in the manufacturing side to leverage AI and ML going forward.
Love it. Absolutely. I saw only this morning actually about a new partnership you have. I think it was with Brightseed Bio, I think off the top of my head, but that was exactly that, using AI to, for example, look at the hidden benefits, the under the surface benefits, if you will, around Hellman's, and particularly around some of the bioactive compounds within. So I love the work you're going into there. Again, from a wellness point of view, immunity, metabolic health, even. I think so much to come there. So the pathway looks fantastic. I love that around health innovation, Steve. Thank you. So perhaps, I know we're kind of coming to the end of our discussion time today. Perhaps as a way to kind of wrap this up, I'd love to hear from you again, Steve, just to kind of say what this has meant to you. I think the SAP community is fabulous, been involved for so many years, and there's so much kind of benefit of being part of this ecosystem. But for the SAP Innovation Awards community in particular, what has that meant for you at Blue Diamond Growers, and kind of what impact has this had for you overall? I'd love some final thoughts on that, if I may.
Mm-hmm. Oh, again, a great honor to be recognized by SAP, and it really just exemplified the strong partnership we had with our business to enable this within the IT and just the business in general, as well as that partnership in SAP, given their ecosystem. It really helped us create, an intelligent, data-driven cooperative to maximize the value to our growers. So again, this just was a reiteration of all that hard work we've done and the journey we've taken. And again, the journey doesn't end, but we know we've got a super foundation to kind of build upon going forward.
Amazing. Absolutely love that. And Sven, if I could have a final comment from you on this journey, or maybe even just maybe in a minute, if somebody's looking at this now thinking, oh, do I want to be part of this next year? Maybe a top tip or a takeaway about the why, because I think Steve's story really exemplifies the power of being part of this.
Yeah, first of all, Stephen has set the bar with his company very high for the next winners, but definitely going to be in the Hall of Fame because that time that happened and the way they did, that was amazing. And I think that is also where the community now coming closer together. And yeah, good challenge to have for the next winners, because we always going to look at why we did and why we chose. And definitely, Stephen, thanks again also for the partnership there and really getting the best out of our offerings.
Fantastic. Steve, Sven, thank you both for spending time with us today. It's been a great joy to go through this story. It really has. And for everyone watching and listening and tuning in now or on demand later, thanks for spending time with us. We'll also share some of the assets, some of the stories we've been talking about today, so you can follow along too. And feel free to keep coming in with your questions too. This is really a part of the community and sharing top tips and advice and learning. So let's all come together for positive change. Thanks, everyone. It's been a pleasure to host this. I'm Sally Eves. This has been Tomorrow's Tech Today with an SAP Innovation Award special. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you, Sally. Thanks, Stephen.
Absolute pleasure.